Okay, so I Am Not a Serial Killer, directed by Billy O'Brien, who made Isolation, adapted from Dan Wells' novel, which is the first in the series. So Max Records is John Wayne Cleaver, disaffected kid living in a chilly town of Clayton, where he works part-time in his mother's mortuary. He is obsessed with serial killers. He is obsessed with death and ghoulishness. Also, he has been diagnosed as a sociopath by his therapist. Although his therapist says to him, look, you know, you do have these indicators of sociopathy, but these are just indicators. They are meant to be warning signs. You are in control of your own destiny. You are a good person. So when we meet him at the beginning of the film, he's somebody who is aware that he has social problems and that he is, clinically on the scale of sociopathy, but he absolutely doesn't want to be that person. So he has these very strict rules to keep himself under wraps. The tone of the film is, on the one hand, serious, but also very, very darkly comic, and it has a sort of thick strain of macabre humour, because what happens is a killer is stalking the streets of the town, and because he's obsessed with serial killers, he understands more about the cases than the police does. In fact, he seems to be completely alienated from everybody, with the exception of his neighbour, played rather wonderfully, I have to say, by Christopher Lloyd, an enigmatic character who quotes Blake. Here's a clip.
Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night. What immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? The poet is asking the tiger who made him and how. William Blake, he wrote 2 poems like that. The Lamb and the Tiger. One was made of sweetness and love, and one was forged from terror and death. When the stars threw down their spears and wanted heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who made the lamb make thee?
Fantastic voice. Now, the film has, as I said, this kind of darkly comic air. It also has that sort of edgy, angsty teen satire that calls to mind Donnie Darko on the one hand. On the other hand, I think there are elements of George Romero's film Martin in there. Max Records, who made such an impact in Where the Wild Things Are, the Spike Jonze film, is terrific here as the central disaffected teen. The script is sharp and has moments of real sort of macabre humour that is emphasised by the way in which the soundtrack is used. Not only the sort of songs they use on the soundtrack, but also there is a sort of very squishy analog score that evokes, Carpenter and Goblin and Argento and Giallo and, all, I think, sort of very knowingly. The film is shot by Robbie Ryan, who shot it on 16mm stock. So it has that grainy texture. It feels like a lost film from another era. And to some extent, you could see elements of Fargo, of that kind of Coen brothers, very dark, very icy humour as bodies build up in the snow. On the other hand, there are shots of this huge water and light plant belching smoke into the flat grey sky, which evoke David Lynch. And I think there is a lot of Lynch in this. And what I really liked about it was there are moments in it when it is really darkly funny. There are moments in it when it's really properly creepy and strange. It also crosses genres in a way that perhaps you wouldn't expect, but I thought did so very, very satisfyingly. I went in not knowing much about it at all, and I've seen it twice now. I'm completely sold.
Movie of the week.